Caspian Terns and migration. Now I'm fascinated by migration. Migration is one of these things that just puzzles us and amazes us all the time. Caspian Terns are a large coastal bird, like a large gull, that feeds on fish, and they nest on the sandbanks in places like in North America and in Europe. There's a particular group of Caspian, they're found all around the world, and they're found in Australia as well. There was a group of Caspian terns nesting in Sweden that was studied by a university group there, and they were looking at the migration of the Caspian terns from Sweden, from the Baltic Sea, down to Africa, thousands of kilometres every year. These birds migrate in small family groups and small flocks. And what they were able to do is track birds to Africa and back. And what they've discovered is, in the Caspian tern at least, the male parent escorts the young of a year to Africa. So the birds stick with their dad, not the female. We don't know why it's not the female, but they stick with the father, and they travel with the father from the Baltic to Africa. Now, the return trip is done without the parent. So the bird has learnt where to travel in that first journey and travels back solo. But for birds that didn't have a father or got separated from their father on the trip, they died. They couldn't find the location, and they perished. So it's an interesting new insight into how birds learn to migrate. And at least in the Caspian tern, it's learning the route from an adult. And this is an intergenerational thing that's happening then, is that it's a cultural thing where one generation is teaching the next generation how to go. It's not innate. It doesn't come just from the sort of genetic background. You actually have to learn the route. But you only have to learn it once, and once it's locked in, you can then find your own way back in the reverse order of all of those locations. Now, we know that, of course, migratory birds have other methods with astronomic reference points and magnetic alignment, etc. But it is critical that they have that first migration with a parent bird, and there's the case of Caspian terns, the male. A couple of times, apparently, foster parents also did the escorting, so it wasn't necessarily the biological father. Fascinating bit of research out of Sweden on Caspian terns.